Yinarai assassini airport in Timaye Mojana Nanum Shegu Edigu on my ye.
Memobi bi akwaba eba MELODIES TV so. A 67 paged document bi aba bonten. Na document na aba bonten no. Implications are Emma and say coronavirus ska over 2.1 billion US dollars aban asheno. Allegedly aban yusu saskano on shady deals. Coronavirus and ye buy ya na nke wose aban yusu saskano yese katahyehe ene proye akoso ama 2.1 billion mo fancheme 2.1 billion dollars sikana ende yesi yehu bebi afa. Now, when I report, send me dinka tell na a 67 paged report. I can't read reports ni mun sem ni na and mean to me reading na ewa ha adaje ni ho. But we will summarize and go into the report. Dear Abano. Now, this report is by we have to know the people behind the report so that you know say whether it is credible or not. This report is by Ekobia from CDA Ghana. CDA Ghana. Now, they did this in collaboration with Commonwealth Foundation. Commonwealth Foundation. Now, CDA Ghana, we come a website, so now we could be say, again, about us, a warm website. You know, the Omar trying to say, we exist primarily to promote sustainable, inclusive, and resilient community development initiative that reduces poverty, contributes to good health and well-being, as well as empowers women and girls through evidence-based advocacy and the application of cutting-edge innovations that are culturally appropriate, gender-sensitive, and responsive to the needs of marginalized individuals, families, and communities in a sustainable fashion. Almost xenophobia, wamoshe enyama ekoso e make sure say primarily no we all have inclusive and resilient community. Omo making sure say embanso womo hwe womo education and more opportunities. Into wokwa was say one, ending poverty and anger. That's one of their aim. Good governance and social accountability. And so this particular report it falls under good governance and social accountability. Womo juma say womo behwe say sika yedema aban and the Juma Yadeba Abino, Ababe ye, no more the report number, Abanye ni ya, one more the beba. So one yen year, one more the beba. So this is the report, one more the aba. Almost also share gender equality and they empower women. Omobwa, a year, they build schools for the poor, they help people, especially women and the like. So come a website and you get enough of that. And you know, so you name the Commonwealth Foundation, you can Google them. So this is just a background on Omo sa report we ya womo edeba. Now, yanko report ni nhwe say sa de we ya CDA Ghana womo de aba no yenhwe say engineer so bi ewo mu ana antro bi na womo twa to aban ne so. Now CDA no it stands for Community Development Alliance. Community Development Alliance omudin no. But answer your better and subscribe and click the notification bell so. And that your first time waha you understand we have a new YouTube channel. Link no our comment box the mesre click and subscribe man. Ya sha say you posty videos, reaction videos ho into no subscribe man. It's for quickly and consem ni mo. Now it's quite interesting. You have a summary of the report right in front of you. Now let's go through it. 2.1 billion US dollars. Esun. Again, I bind this ikane here. Again, tell Nankrofo we can say ikane baby and anke was a question no ankwa. Intino, they broke it down into several parts. The first part no irregular procurement. When them say Ghana mrana say procurement, yeka procurement not just say transparency. For me, I feel say the essence of procurement no for transparency sake. Into procurement no simple and short. Yebeka say aban epe yemfa say ekonwa. Ye de betuja public. Mimi to ekonwa, usu to ekonwa Now what the document akwa aban ho atwe say oh aban ekonya na open no metumi ama obi me de be ma 10 cedis na me nso makọ say oh aban ekonya na open no me nso metumi ama me de be ma 7 cedis nti ano na ye I open say what trade procurement asia that's what it's about. Ghana mra say aban kwa akoto bibia sebe bro a certain amount of money biana it has to go through procurement so that ye behu transparency and insensem bebre ewom. Now one more person mo say we share coronavirus e ba ye irregular procurement echo. So now let's go and read the report. I say the report cited irregular procurement in the award of contracts to 4 Ghanaian garment manufacturing companies. Was it the companies the report reviewed had been given loans of $10 million through the Ghana Exim Bank to produce PPEs, face masks, medical scraps, hospital gowns, and headgear without tender, and companies had been selected. Now, was it the first irregular procurement? And they say, coronavirus ni si no, and a banker say, oh, wait there, I was see ma Ghana fuankasa, muamunim, President Akufo-Addo kansa de no. Yabema Ghana fuankasa e produce sa face mask ni nyama no. Was it companies are select your mono? They didn't go through any competitive tender. And your companies via buying na select, and you see one thing I worry about this particular issue, and they say, dear Eba, and they say, I buying crop for Nankasa, and they said, I put a company, no, because company ni yemobia $10 million loan. Yemobia $10 million company bia yemomu na $10 million. Inti eba ne sa de esi ne say aban nankasa enkrofo ekwohyechi sheda akote company no mo de abasa say inti no aban wonye procurement and tender bia ema ya ye nselete inti ono de ne nsa mbo se ni afa aban enkrofo na inti eno nso ya ade bia ema corruption koso. Now let's continue with the report. I said the companies also were not registered with the Public Procurement Authority at the time of contract award. And Brian, the contract never company, you know. That company they register or more PPA. So you see what I was telling you. Nanka a company bia e wo de dada. Say jumano no mo ya. Nanka company no wo mo be register with ebia the PPA. But because a company bia contract buyer and it happens and you buying we pay and you see that is how sometimes buying the baswa womuchia some of their financiers. Ubon say wo baswa acquiring contracts. Oh now ama ne financier bi asheda akwa company bi animu ane the contract na no company a woni experience bi ane the contract na no why obekomu no na buying trophy bi ene hye ase. Inti report no nkrofo no report a wo de aba no wo say Saturday near the contract in man no, they weren't registered with the Public Procurement Authority at the time I had the moment. Was it a scam report stated that revealing a clear defrauding of the system by very corrupt minds? Into more reports now, one more year investigation now, one more year, say corruption across so ever. I say it went on a $1 million contract awarded to develop the COVID-19 tracker app to 2 foreign companies, namely iQuint Technologies and Ascent Digital Solutions, registered in Jersey, a tax haven, was irregular. So COVID-19 tracker app a yebeye ho launching, ba umiama yebeye ho launching. Ensembebre, en ho ba ensembebre, $1 million. You see, yeah, there's $1 million no. A companies mienu bi, companies mienu ne kra no, they are registered in Jersey. Na sa Jersey no, a tax haven. Say a tax haven I stand to be corrected, but let me check the meaning of tax haven. Naturally say in Crofono, they will not be paying tax. So say I'll say tax haven, a country or independent area where taxes are levied at a low rate. Okay, naturally say taxes no the 2 companies were not legal persons in Ghana at the time of contract awards and were not registered with the PPA and they not go through tender. If you say two companies in so this $1 million COVID tracker app and ma womo contract the ma womo so they weren't registered with the PPA. Almost some yankophobia womo nya Ghana for. Yeah, the award name more they weren't in Ghana. They didn't go through tender. Now let's continue with the report. As a contract worth 60 million Ghana cedis for fumigation services and logistics such as sanitizers, masks, dustbins, cleaning kits, etc. to all districts by the Ministry of Local Government from its allocation under the District Assembly's Common Fund for the 2020 fiscal year was mostly without tenders. Munyamokai, you be closing down markets and you could spray schools ne nyama you could spray no. You say and also 60 million Ghana cedis contract ya demand crofo bi no. It didn't go through tender. Also, the report added that the contract awarded to Frontiers Healthline Solution Services Limited to conduct COVID-19 antigen test at the Kotoka International Airport was also without tender. Also was without tender. Was without tender. The company was not registered with PPA and unlicensed by the Health Facilities Regulator. Sir, same way Ghana for mo approach bebre na complaining ye mo kai say mra mo ba no na mo say mudu Ghana yesi mo ntua $150 bi for COVID test yesi sa company na wo mo yes ade no wo mo ye nkrofo bi a one health facilities for ne kan register wo mo ye PPA nso en register wo mo ye na o kai say na say ministers bebre na e call parliament ye veti wo mo no. Minister Bia Yebisa no about this company no one can want them. In fact, information minister cry Yebisa about this company with me and can want them. Omo nina ministers nina Yebisa Bia was him. Even the health minister, he was asked about where a year or no a share or no nensano or say no name or no he had no not just a baby na company way omo free no mo links more shit because one. On my bank, Enna, you the contract be mouth say. Now who contract na the amount no, you are not registered with PPA, you are not registered with Health Facilities Regulator, you are not registered with companies na ebia womo ana organizations a womo hwe ema nyama bi say ekoso now so wakwa akogina baby ti say Kotoka International Airport jin crofusika ye test. Into this report as I say that particular one in so ewum sekata hihye ene proye akoso wo ho or say the supply of 18,000 Veronica buckets, 800 pieces of 200 milliliter sanitizers, 36,000 rolls of tissue paper, 36,000 gallons of liquid soap, and 7,200 thermometer guns distributed to schools were opaque and not tendered. It is unclear who the suppliers were and how much was spent on this procurement. Nti obi nso ebi mo so ye mo contract wo mo supply buckets ne enyama sanitizers ne enyama bebre wo mo nso they didn't go through tender. Omo a ye de contract ne mo kra no ye nim omo sen ene ye de mo kra no ende ye nim transparency anye adwuma wo ho through this report asema wo mo kan no. As a contract for the provision of hot meals for 540,000 final students and teachers who sat for the 2020 WASSCE and BC exams for 3 weeks was opaque, with no full disclosure of who were awarded these contracts, from which fund the contracts were awarded, and whether the contracts went through the proper procurement processes. Coronavirus time, ebedru ye president beka say, "Omo ano mu school no, ye be mo eduane." Eno nso na ye ka ho asem no. Omo a wo mo gye ho contract no, ye nim procurement ankoso ana tender ankoso, sa na ye beka no. Sika wo mo de ma san krofo no, no one knows. Was a contract for nationwide disinfection and fumigation of over 664 markets was awarded to Zoom Lion on a sole source basis, in addition to another contract by the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service to disinfect and fumigate over 850 high schools across Ghana and 3,700 schools in the Greater Accra region. Inti Zoom Lion for so jomo de inti market ne nyama no sole source ye de ma Zoom Lion. Yanka se ye bie mu ato ho. Say oh, mo amoye ebia companies amoye Zoom Lion edwuma ne bi no mo mbre nim na ye hwese mo so mo betumi aya. Ye de ko share Zoom Lion nsa. Now, the second part of the report, a corruption risk. Was it there are issues with funds of $1.2 million meant for the payment of 900 contact tracers employed by the Ghana Health Service to work on case detection, contact tracing and reporting, 600 of whom dropped out later due to various grievances. Chief among them are the erratic payment of their daily allowance of $25. What can I say? Sometimes no me report wa ha say minimum bia wo ye contact tracer. Wo mo complain say wo mo sika ye mfa mo mo. Ye sika no na eda ho say wo say ye dem mo nanso ye mfa mo mo. Nti e no 1.2 million budget no sika no o say there are issues with that particular fund. E fa he e kon he because na sika wo ya budget say ye beti omo ya mfa nti omo. Nti hwan and as you can call ho. The report averred a corruption risk arises over whether an employment contract regulated the work of the contact tracers, the terms of their engagement, how much was actually paid to them, for how long, and why 600 of them dropped out. During the height of the pandemic, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on April 13, 2020 launched the GH COVID-19 Tracker app, which is to help boost the Ghana government's fight against coronavirus. During the launch, Dr. Bawumia noted the app will help us easily track people with the virus, those who have had contact with others. It is also useful in quarantine reliability in case certain individuals need self-quarantine, touting that Ghana is one of the few countries to deploy such a tracker. But the corruption risk assessment report says the 1 million contract awarded to develop the COVID tracker to two foreign companies, namely Iquant Technologies and Ascent Digital Solutions, raises substantial corruption issues. Ascent Digital Solutions was registered a month before the contract award in Jersey, a tax haven, and the contract sum appears bloated. Same applies to the 1.4 million Ghana cedis spent on the launch of the tracker. How dirty can we get as people? So a company na Bawumia beka and there one year application, one year app ne nyama no. The report ne can say one of the companies a month coronavirus ne buy no a month to the launching of the app and as yet say our company no and the contract ne share ne say oh my Ghana. Hey, let me tell you, may I have a degree in computer science. I am not saying this to brag, but embra mi wie school KNUST computer science no. My final year project was selected for Kumasi Business Incubator. It was one of the best projects from computer science in my year. Me project am a year. Sa COVID app now wo year no. He, wo de mame 30,000 Ghana cedis per. Mame 30,000 Ghana cedis per. Latest by 1 week. Your better system try a change our system no. But share you $1 million for that particular system to a company as our company in the crano just a month. And your company because say 1 year business computer science and software development business na ache for 10 years old company are just a month. You see any this our contract ne come on according to this report from CDA and Commonwealth Foundation. Now you see the launching of the application, you spending 1.4 million Ghana cedis just on the launching of the application. You do 1 million koya application $1 million koya application no. You be spending 1.4 million Ghana cedis. And no na wo mo fa MPP ana sa your friends say musicians are wo support MPP no. Womo eba perform here, womo we no musicians they be mo say mo 5,000, e be mo so say mo 10,000. Minister Ambra Bonte make say musicians na mo bi aska. Now so na musicians in radio stations so no more can say oh we your G20, we G10, we G5. On my team. Now bisa ho say sa applications are ye use Ghana sika kesiye say e wo so no bisa ho say sa application no ekoko wie yen san. Una wunim Ghana ni bia wo say oh me use Ghana COVID-19 tracker app no ama me hu ne say yes coronavirus no ye ku etia bisa ho did we use it? It was a failed application. This is my field because my mama ati ase. Me say sa application mo de mame me melodies amiti high latest by 1 week. Na mbra ye wo school no softwares are na ye applications are na ye now I had a team applications are na ye na enye bini applications are na ye na enye bini Koko bisa KNUST physics department ye electric certain electronic voting system ye electronic voting system ma wo physics department electronic voting system masa enya nkola o. So when you come to application development, it is my field. I know what I'm talking about. And you are telling me this. What are you saying? See how much we spent on this. The MELODIES company in the Krano or city. The company was registered just a month before the contract award in Jersey. And Ghana, Jersey, a tax haven. Iradi Yesu Christo. Boawo man Ghana. The report no more things ewom. Let's go through. No what time pa. Let's go through the report. Was a contract awarded for free food during the partial lockdown in Greater Accra and Greater Kumasi is perhaps the biggest red flag in the whole COVID-19 spending saga, which many doubting the number of people fed, the period of the intervention, the way caterers were contracted and the unit cost of food packages, with government of Ghana not helping the situation by giving conflicting figures and accounts. 42 million Ghana cedis was spent on hot meals during the period without any proper tendering or documentation. An amount of 2 million Ghana cedis was allocated to transport frontline health workers during the partial lockdown. Okay, so that is the another point. Now let's take the point of the food. On say me be kan say bi tre mo say me sa eduane no no mo chiche say na wo mo chiche eduane na not be surprised. So me ba be ka tre on me ba be bo Ghana ebo kese say sa abo we ni use for say eduane no. I see you use 42 million Ghana cedis for say eduane na wo mo chiche ya ye ni aye hu ye no. See you use 42 million. Sa 42 million no kra no mesre. Wo de na ko man bia ye serious. O use sika kese bi say. What is the least thing you do? One, proper documentation. These politicians are wamuma contractee. They own companies. And if you go to their companies, you see how things are being documented. But about abaisika, no proper documentation, just as the report is saying. No proper tendering, no proper documentation. The allegation, and it's a party nibi, and the contract share, me mamoti has said, and brand we work here in University, Unity Hall. Sometimes we can have story and them sounds like because a lot of people are about joining. And brand we work here in University, Unity Hall. Now year 2000, we are the most populated hall in West Africa. We were. I don't know if now it's still so. Now year over 2,000 boys are your hall name. Now yeah. JCR meeting, students a meeting with ebia student leadership near Kasa about enyama bia ye hia na issues bia wo ho a e was say wo ye item ade akien no se fe na item 13 e was say wo ma ye ebia pie ne drink 2,000 boys a wo wo ho nim no naka initially I was say executives no e plan for pie ne drinks ebia 2,000 so the be so obi aso because a meeting na ye ba onim de omo be one be kwa ebia meat pie 100 pe no mo afa drink so 100 na sika nkan no omo budget omo de ahye omo botom omo be kan say omo budget for 2,000 people now so omo aton nyama na 100 pe na nyama 100 na omo aton e sense omo nim say nyama ni so anenti omo be cheche mu obi a 11 omo cheche mu obi a 11 na omo be hu ne say hey ade na moto na nso so omo de be ba beto ho na afei boys no ye ku e wa ade no ho e san ye say amuni amo akon ho Emma obi afa 3, obi afa 5 instead of 1. Incha na ebi mu nya bi no. Enti embra aban wo ye aduane na wo chiche aduane na yam ye ne say one na ye tutu aduane na mankrofo mo fu hu na meka say strategy sikedie ekoso ende report about say 42 million Ghana cedis na spend here na wa wo hwe se ne ase aduane na ye che ye no ne ye say spend 42 million Ghana cedis na wo so say ane ene ne spend here and there wa ho was also say an amount of 2 million Ghana cedis was allocated to transport frontline health workers during the partial lockdown in Accra, but doesn't appear to have been fully utilized, leaving 1.622 unaccounted for under the free transport for health workers allocation. Was a budget on once the President Akufo-Addo nso ka said doctors and nurses for womo kun coronavirus no yebemo bia free transport ufifia kwadwuma a yebema transport sata no some de ayalolo se de na na be sa de no because what happened is City FM wo ma je so wo mo ankasa e de beto omo so no mo aye ama nurses ne doctors e na ban e be ka se da bia ban ne be ye nti aban be ma ayalolo ye gifi City FM for because City FM for no mu use ayalolo buses no aban be ma ayalolo buses no ye giye e na omo aban na ankasa be so mu a wo mo ye report we tre say 2 million Ghana cedis now buying allocated for that particular project, no. 1.6 million omo account here. Now to say I buy you so ebia 400,000 Ghana cedis per year 4 billion for that particular project. And now 3 billion for that project. But sikana akano 1.6 million Ghana make 3 make old cedis so for that project. But sikana akano 1.6 million new Ghana cedis. Yehu baby asikana fa. And also can report ne ho. Also, it is unclear how $7.4 million earmarked for community engagement and risk communication from first release of $35 million from the World Bank was spent. A National Information Contact Center at the Accra Digital Center was set up to provide information on COVID-19 and related matters, but unclear how much government spent on that setup. Inti aban edisikedi eto ho 7.4 million yenhu se ne aban spend is iska no. O say an amount of $12.7 million was earmarked for containment, isolation and treatment. From first release of $35 million from the World Bank, Government of Ghana spent $2.163 million on 16 hotels and guest houses during the initial wave of arrivals. Even Government of Ghana spent an additional $2 million on all the other isolation centers during the initial wave of the pandemic. There appear to be unspent funds of $8.6 million within the allocation or within this allocation that needs further investigation. A bank has said what the 2.7 million air to her. So when one menya coronavirus no yede mekwa koto ha yede me na saa time no so won say wo mo ana mu fi abroche eba no yede omo ye kopɛ hotel mo a ye mo aduane na nyama. Now you say aban budget a wode to ho ma saa project no na $12.7 million. Na wo mo wo mo hwehwɛ mu wieye saa group we wo mo hwehwɛ mu wieye no omo ehu ne say aban spendi sika ni bi mom nanso aka $8.6 million a obi eni bebi afa nti aban was aban ba abonte no betre say oh 12.7 million ye budget here for the containment and isolation and treatment no sika na aka nini muntumi ntrense mo yisu ni na because checks etre say aka $8.6 million akwa akoshi wo bi botomu ana a lot it's for report na ewa and the time is going. I see the IMCC made up of ministers and the Public Health Emergency Operations Center were to use part of an allocated $3.4 million to coordinate and oversee the contract for private sector management of the year to be. Yeah, my report about the donation. Now let's go to the donations. I say after the announcement of Ghana's first 2 coronavirus cases in March 2020, several companies have donated in kind and cash to the National COVID-19 Trust Fund and the government of Ghana. For instance, in 2020, Zenith Bank Ghana alone donated 1 million Ghana cedis at a ceremony held at the Information Ministry in Ghana towards the fight against coronavirus. I say the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, among a host of other corporate institutions, have donated cash to the Akufo-Addo government towards the fight against coronavirus. Also, the reports recounted that on March 19, 2020, a panel of 80 finance ministers, presidential aides, and central bankers held a virtual conference with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa on how Africa could respond to the pandemic, co-chaired by South African Finance Minister Tito Mboweni and Ghana's Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. The conclusions of the financial impact assessment were only shared with government officials. Following the virtual briefing, ECA Secretary General Vera sent a private letter to the IMF and the World Bank, co-signed by Mboweni and Ofori-Atta, asking for $100 billion for the immediate response to the widening pandemic, with contributions from the World Bank, the IMF, the European Investment Bank, the African Development Bank, and the Afrexim Bank. Now, let me explain how long we are here with you. See, coronavirus by no mokai finance minister and Africa finance ministers bebre a meeting. Now, what's the meeting nechi no? In some way, copy mu say Africa finance ministers he ka say I was say womo tro ekoma sa World Bank ne IMF na womo emayiska because senya pandemic no high no ye hiaska. Otherwise, Africa ye tiati. E ba enso na nkrofo bebre ka say we the Africa ye tiati o. Into womo tro into say it was a private letter. Womo ko tro koma empenifo sa IMF ne World Bank yi say Africa ye hia $100 billion near the acquaintia that particular coronavirus no. Now, in Cheshemuno no, I say the letter also asked for an immediate waiver of all interest payments on all debts estimated at $44 million for 2020 with possible extension to the medium term. On April 13, 2020, the IMF Executive Board approved the disbursement of $1 billion to Ghana to be drawn under the Rapid Credit Facility, it added. In the no, IMF ebesene Ghana $1 billion. Sa letter number to the coin no Ghana yebenya ye chefa $1 billion. IMF at the brain. Was the government of Ghana announced a series of response measures involving huge expenditure outlay estimated at over $2 billion, part of which was a rapid credit facility from the International Monetary Fund of $1 billion. Despite the huge expenditure outlay announced by the government of Ghana in its response to fighting COVID-19 pandemic, an anti-corruption tracker published on the website of Transparency International has flagged Ghana as one of the high corruption risk countries which have failed to put in place anti-corruption measures as part of their COVID-19 financial assistance and debt relief from the IMF. Ghana, yebe budget say coronavirus no yebe kuetia. You have $2 billion. And the IMF, $1 billion. Now, the all can say, a quobia womu ni Ghana, womu ye Transparency International. Womu share the course why IMF sika womu de mine, a kono be flaggy Ghana, say Ghana, corruption, was throw Ghana because COVID-19 sika womu de mine. Adia ya kasi ye disi kanebe ye na yamfanye. When ya Ghana for na account. Transparency International. Almost say sika IMF for the bema yen the CEO and ye nya near the aye almost say yamfa sika na ye de koye den. Report ne wa etie for asem ne ni nche wa your comment box ni mo. Such an interesting country.